Hey there, thanks for watching. Christiana on the Well-Behaved Wallet here, and I am coming at you with my February sort of budget setup and what we got working for February. So, my whole sort of philosophy this year has been controlling your costs, knowing where the money's going, and being very clear about that. And I guess the point where I am right now is, so I got a couple of points, is this. I have some changes in my cash flow. I have our payroll, my day job, has shifted. So we used to be paid every Friday, which was remarkable and amazing. I have never in my life, except for when I was paid in cash as a teenager, I've never been paid every week. So that was a treat for the past, 18 months or so that I've been working with this company. And now we are transitioning to a bi-weekly payroll system, which, it's back to the way things I've in my working career have always been. So this is something that's new, but it does require kind of some shift in cash flow and the way that I allocate my cash and how I pay out certain bills, and in my budgeting strategy. So that's been a bit challenging and a little bit frustrating because I thought that what it would do, this was my theory, and then in practice what actually happened was a little bit different. My theory was that thinking that I would have less time, or that I would have just make more money last over a longer period of time, that I would, toward the end of the month, you really start cutting to the bone, or toward the end of the pay period, you really start watching where that money's going. And I thought that would naturally kind of be a good thing and would cause a lift, because I'm used to budgeting. I'm able to do this. In reality, it hadn't worked out that way, because in January I had that expense for the car. I had to get my struts repaired, my suspension fixed, which was expensive. It was a lot of fun. It was about $1,000 that I wasn't expecting. But I knew I had a car expense coming up. Just looking over, I've owned pre-owned high mileage cars for a long time, and I know that on average I'm going to spend about $1,000 a year in repairs, and that is something that I will gladly do, because if you work that out over 12 months, that comes out to less than the $200 or $300 that I would have in a car payment per month. That's $3,600. So it's 2/3 less than I would be paying for a car payment. So I'm happy to take that expense, but it came due in January. So I had just gotten my first paycheck, and it was over 70% of that went to car repairs, which meant that I didn't have to pull it from savings, which was good. But that's why the budgeting, and I thought I'd have more money left over after my paycheck, but I didn't, because I had this unexpected expense crop up. So that's one way that theory worked different than practice. And the second way is I have some, again, reoccurring expenses come up. My insurance payments due every 6 months, and that comes due in the 1st of February. And this week, on Sunday, actually, my sister will be getting married in Nashville, Murfreesboro, actually, Tennessee. So that's super exciting, and my mom and I are going down for that. And it's something that we knew. She'd said save the date way back in November for the 2nd. Her anniversary date's going to be 2/2/2020, so it's exciting. Groundhog Day, Super Bowl Sunday. And we knew that was coming up, but we didn't know that she would want to end up making a day of it, because she thought, we're just going to go and have an officiant or go to the courthouse or whatever. But she ended up getting a fabulous venue for cheap, relatively cheap. She's only paying $500 for this gorgeous farm. They're going to be the first wedding on the property, so it's really exciting for her. But and she's laying out a ton of money. So there's that, and as a family, we'd like to celebrate that, but that's another expense coming up, and I'm not kicking, because it's wonderful and it's a gorgeous celebration, and I'm really excited to do it, but it's just another expense you gotta allocate for. So those two things coming up in the second paycheck of the year will sort of take over any additional that may have come up. So that just right off the bat is a little bit frustrating. It just is. And the important thing is to keep going. I'm trying to give myself a pep talk for this, when in actuality it's a little bit less than encouraging. My side hustles haven't been so rewarding lately, just because I haven't had the time or the energy to put into them to make them more rewarding. That's just the way that it goes. I've had tremendously busy a busy schedule lately, which has been great and fabulous and wonderful, but just means that there's less energy and time left over for working on those side hustles. And I'm also trying to restructure the way I think about earning money, because I had previously been trading my time for dollars, and this is something I want to shift. And I credit Stacey Flowers for this. A lot of you I know will have watched her. I'll put a link to her channel below. She's fabulous on the finance mindset and how to shift your thinking about finance, not necessarily the execution, although she's really strong and solid in the execution, but just thinking about how your mental mind, your attitude toward money. And one of the things she said is there are 3 ways you can make money: time, talent, or value. And so far I've been trading my time for money. Even listing on eBay, it takes your time. It's a little bit more flexible because you can allocate your time, whatever, and it doesn't have to be at someone else's schedule. You can make your own schedule, but it's still your time. You have to take the time to list your items in whatever quantity you have them. So it's still listing time. And that's something I want to get away from. I want to be trading value for dollars and creating really high value. And that's my goal, because I know what I appreciate the most and the things that I've learned from the most. So that's kind of a little bit on the side hustle front in February. Because the thing is, I'm winding down the last busy week. I'm going to be in Nashville or in Tennessee this weekend. And then I come back midweek. So that's it's a shortened week at work, which is good. And then it's kind of returning back to the normal routine. That will be sort of the second week in February. We'll be back to my normal routine, and I want to be ready to hit the ground running and have a clear vision for what I'm doing next. How that impacts my February budget is that I will be... I don't want that sort of downshift to throw me off, because I've noticed from my years looking at a budget that it tends to be those shifts either way, positive or negative, that cause the greatest challenge. But not only the shifting period, like a change in schedule, a change in situation, but the aftermath of that shift. Because sometimes it's, the main event is fine and you get through that because there's a lot of energy and attention there. But when it comes to transitioning back into your everyday sort of routine, that's where I know personally I tend to get stuck and tripped up. So especially in the area of food, I'm watching myself there because that's my second largest expense behind housing. Individual utilities don't even come close to what I spend on food. So that's actually been very strong ever since I did that grocery challenge in October. And I will link to that video on my grocery challenge where I spent all cash for the month of October on my groceries. That was a breakthrough for me. And I've done all cash ever since October, which can be a little bit inconvenient because I don't like the potential that you might lose that cash, which I have done before. I have had misplaced or stolen a wallet full of money, and that is not a good feeling. But here's the scary part. Even having that happen, I feel like that is a chance I'm willing to take in order to reap the benefit of using cash, like physical paper cash, to buy my groceries. Because it's just simple. If I don't have the cash, I don't buy it. And that has made a huge world of difference. And it's like a streak. Like I'm trying to check off months where I use all cash for groceries. And so far, October, November, December, coming up on January, that's 4 months in a row. So that's been a huge thing for me. A huge positive in my budget. What else as regards the February budget? I don't know if a January recap is necessary. The bills came in, most of them got paid, except my electric bill, which I'm having a fight with them over, because they refuse to take my information for auto debit. And I refuse to put the time in because it irks me that I'm having to walk them through adding me to their auto debit program. I'm like, I have all my other utilities are on auto debit and they can't get it for some reason. So I need to take that responsibility for myself and take responsibility for that, and just let it go, which I will. It's taken a sec. So other than that, I think we were kind of running on cruise for January, cruise control. Other than that, it's great. I'm looking forward to the wedding this week, so that's where I'll be. And that's sort of the positive at the moment. Looking forward to just transitioning into my sort of heading in the right direction autopilot for February. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will keep watching. Bye!